Hello, squad. How are we doing today? This lovely night. We are starting a little bit early compared to when we usually start, so I'm gonna wait an extra little bit of time for anybody to pop in who might not be here yet. So we'll start in like maybe 7 minutes or so. Hello, Arch. How are you? How's Alternate Universe going for you? How far have you gotten in? Because I know you are currently reading it. I haven't had much time. That's okay. That's totally fine. So on chapter 3. Ooh, oh, fun. Have you finished chapter 3 or are you on chapter 3? On chapter 3, I see. Chat is way lagged. Seems to be working fine for me, unless you mean that there's like a delay. If there's a delay, I don't. That'd be weird. Your end? Oh, okay, gotcha. I have had not a fairly long day, but a mostly kind of an unproductive one. Oh, actually, fun thing. Do you guys want to see the OCs that I'm working on, just really quick, before we get started? While we're delaying time, so here's my thing, right? I have a very hard time drawing original characters, right? I have a very hard time drawing original characters. I have a hard time making original content. Even the thesis film was really hard for me to do. So what I do, right, is kind of what I call thinly veiled characters, right? So it's like, if you squint, it's like, oh, that's so-and-so. But, like, my professor won't know any difference, right? So I can put it in my portfolio. So here are, and I'm trying to, like, they're gonna eventually become their own people, their own characters, but here's the guys that I have so far. Tablet screen. These are my guys. This is Ambrose, Kylan, and Drexel. And they are my lads. They are totally not copies of anybody. Or, like, thinly veiled tropes that maybe, you know, relate to some people. These are the I was playing with some color palettes. Obviously I'm not done with Kylan's yet. My friend Mel was like, you really shouldn't make Ambrose the one with the red accents. And I was like, I know, I really shouldn't, because it's very obvious. But I'm having fun with them. And then I have this that I'm brainstorming. I have character concepts, I have stuff here, I have plot stuff, I have setting stuff. It's funny because the setting is almost like it is kind of almost interestingly like alternate universe inspired a little bit. The general concept: as a knight, you have one job: serve the Lord's court. You've done this job dutifully for years, not out of a sense of honor or chivalry, but of necessity. After the event known as the Cataclysm, the once controllable element of magic has become unpredictable and dangerous. Cities, infrastructure, governments, and technology, all that relied on arcane sources, were suddenly perverted and unstable. In the aftermath of the Cataclysm, the Lord's Court was established, the most powerful spellcasters on Earth, all together under one table to keep magic under control, the ultimate goal being to bind it back underneath the Earth's core and expel it from the world. If it could not be kept under wraps, it was instead to be banished. Yet still, there are those who practice magic, who dabble in the unpredictable arcane that has left so many cities fallen and so many people dead. That's where you come in. You are a knight, and you serve. You find those who would illegally practice the arcane arts and bring judgment upon them. We are starting early, Skitty, but we haven't started yet. I'm talking about my OCs. So this is the general concept. And then I have Ambrose, Kylan, and Drexel are these three characters. Clues, who is this knight? Who are these knights? And essentially my setting is along the lines of, what if all of our technology, all of our, technological advancements relied on magic, right? And so if that were to suddenly go away, or if that were to suddenly become very, very, very dangerous, how would, the world recess? So everything, recesses back to the Dark Ages. Technology has advanced still to what is the equivalent of modern day, but since magic was used as the primary power source to just get things to work, things like basic electricity or electrical components and fossil fuel energy sources weren't as developed as magic was, as it was used in an alternative for the webbing of the world's technology. This means without magic, everything recessed back to somewhere in the Dark Ages. Due to paranoia about magic and the interactions between it and technology, many research facilities have been hesitant to study further or innovate. This has left the world at something of a standstill, and when the Lord's Court was formed, they made an oath that once magic has been locked away for good, it'll become safe to move forward with reconstruction, reinvention. It's been a few centuries since then, and most people have become resolved to the standstill in progress. Laws have been put in place to prevent academics from creating any new technology, and there are strict rules and taboos against trying to recover lost artifacts from the pre-cataclysm era. Not area. And along with the mages who still attempt, practice, the knights of the court are supposed to hunt them down. So I have all these questions about stuff I need to answer for world building wise, and then I have some character study stuff that I'm doing for Ambrose, and mostly Ambrose right now because he's kind of my main guy. And there's some similarities to Dave, but I'm trying to not. I do want these characters to eventually become kind of their own people. But I'm just kind of using my inspirations from Homestuck to be building blocks. So the general plot is that I can just read this. Okay, I'll read this and then we'll get started with the actual thing. So Ambrose is a well-experienced fighter and the top of his class since day one of his training under the Order, quickly rising the ranks due to being trained for this role since his birth. Kylan was newer to the ways of knighthood, but made up for his experience with vigorous passions for studying. During the time in training, the two knights had something of a rivalry. Ambrose was cocky and witty, remarking on Kylan's failings during their one-sided spars, and his expressions were dismissive and nonchalant, hiding behind a practiced, emotionless mask. Kylan was easy to get a rise of, and Ambrose found this deeply amusing, learning to push the buttons of his peers. There weren't many knights like Kylan in the Order, ones who so obviously had their heart on their sleeve. In a way, maybe deep down, it angered Ambrose how oblivious, passionate, and studious Kylan was. The two of them butted heads a lot and were thrown for a complete loop when the court assigned the two of them to a bounty together. They were to kill the Dreadsong Warlock, a necromantic mage of great infamy. Ambrose gawked at the request, as the Dreadsong was one of the most powerful and dangerous warlocks out there. The court had sent floods of knights to bring him down, but nobody had been successful. Ambrose was confident in his abilities, but protested Kylan's involvement, dismissing his usefulness and saying he'd only slow him down. But rumor had that the Dreadsong was preparing something large, and the court was desperate to stop his plans. The court was small, and many knights were already on crusades or missions elsewhere, leaving only Ambrose and Kylan to fulfill his job. The two were then sent on their way. Upon reaching the Dreadsong's territory, Drexel was immediately aware of their incoming presence. It didn't surprise the warlock that the court had sent one of the most renowned up-and-coming knights to come and take his head clean off his body. He was no stranger to the way the knights were, and had expertly taken them out before. He was even offended by the pathetic apprentice that the Knight of the Still Air had tagged along with him. He planned to make swift use of both of their corpses once he was done, but what he didn't expect was to hesitate when they arrived at his door. So that's the general idea, and I'm having fun with it. And they're all very gay for each other, if that wasn't obvious, or they all will be very gay. Because that's a necessary part to anything that I create. So So yeah, so anyways, speaking of gay people, are we ready for alternate universe? I'm ready. Actually, I'm gonna go turn on my air conditioning real quick because it's a little hot in here. Hold on. All right. Also told someone I liked reading today, and they asked which book is your favorite. Well, you see, so yeah, yeah, very true. And yeah, Skitty, it's uh, I'm trying to like kind of, you know, disconnect because I think you kind of grow up, not even grow up, but like especially in this culture nowadays, there's a lot of people who look at fan fiction and they're like, oh, it's just smut, right? All fan fiction is in smut. Now I read smut, but there's a lot more to fan fiction than just smut, right? And I think it's something that should be taken more seriously in the literary world, because it does, there is so many like amazing stories, right? And smut is also a valid form of art, exactly. Fucking base is shit, yes. So so yeah, so I've been thinking about it, and yeah. So if somebody asks me, hey, like, or I'm reading a lot, and they're like, hey, well, what are you reading? I'm gonna say I'm fucking reading Homestuck fan fiction, and it's the best shit I ever read. And they better shut the fuck up and listen. I typically avoid smut, and I can say that there's so many cool fanfics I've read, and yes, smut is valid. Hell yeah. Exactly, Skitty, exactly. I mean, listen, I don't like the AI stuff, but there's a reason that AI is progressing so fucking fast. I think a lot of AI revolving that kind of stuff is unethical. But there's a reason it's progressing quickly, and it's a very big majority because of that. Not that again, I don't think that it's ethical to do it that way, but it is proof that pornography and smut is a very big driver for technological advancement. It's true. Exactly. All right. We will not delay any longer. We're going to get started. So this is... Oh, we will delay a slight bit longer while I quickly go over what we did last chapter. So in chapter 7, I'm not going to read the whole summary. I will just read the little end bit of it. You can do exclamation point summary if you need a full summary. I wrote out the summary for chapter 7. No worries, Arch. Go have fun. I will see you later. Hopefully, maybe in the future, you can pop in for an actual one of these streams, whether you've already read the chapter at that point or are going to follow along. Okay. So, last chapter, we ended off on Karkat was in the library, and Rose came by, and she had like a book split in half, and was gonna return it. She was really humiliated by it, and Miss Paint, or she basically talked about how her mother did it and has this tendency to split things in half. And she felt humiliated, but Miss Paint comforted her and told her not to worry about it, and she fixes the book. Karkat is then dismissed by Miss Paint to go leave with Rose, and as they're walking back, Rose opens up to Karkat about her mother, talking about how Dr. Roxy Lalonde was this brilliant witch until an unknown accident, and now suffers with paranoia and bouts of confusion. Solix, Dave, and Rose are the only people that she trusts to be near her, and Solix's ability to teleport allowed him to check on her, so Rose and Dave wouldn't have to travel home all the time. With Solix now busy, the twins have to arrange their schedule, so they can keep an eye on her. And Karkat comforts Rose best he can, and the two of them go get coffee, and then she like lightheartedly teases him about his feelings for Dave, and then he, has his little reaction. And then as the days go by, Karkat kind of just keeps wondering about the strange storm and the clown-infested dig site. All the clowns. All the clowns. All the clowns. So that's where we left off. And it's time. All right. Alternate universe time. It's a go. It's a go. Here we go. All right. Chapter 8. I'm a member of the Midnight Crew. And so are you. All of us. We're all members of the Midnight Crew. Here we go. Rose and Dave keep switching their classes out, without the subterfuge now that you understand why. One class Rose never misses, though, is your late-night weekly session on seeing the future. You've moved on from tea leaves, and now you're on tarot, your teacher announces brightly. As you all walk into the room, she hands out sheets of stapled together paper with tons of writing on them, as well as a little box of tarot cards each. Tarot is one of those methods of seeing beyond one's ordinary perception that can either be guided by outside forces or your own introspection. Tarot is deeply versatile. Each of the 78 cards has a meaning and a secondary meaning when reversed. The context of these meanings changes on how you have drawn the cards in the spread that you've chosen. All of this gives you near infinite possibilities in terms of answers, your teacher says enthusiastically. You look over the sheet that you've been given and see that it lists out each card and all these different meanings. The spreads we use have specific meanings, but the easiest by far is the 3-card spread. Do not be fooled by its simplicity, though, because it is a very versatile tool, your teacher says, and draws out 3 rectangles on the board and labels them 1, 2, and 3. Please remove your cards from their boxes and shuffle them as I talk. Be sure to change the orientation of the cards as you go so that it's possible to get them right side and reversed when you deal them. Just make sure they're all facing down, though. For our first reading, to get you used to the concept, we will ask for a reading of the past, present, and future cards for cards 1, 2, and 3 in that order. Keep your minds open as you interpret the answers, deal face down first, and then turn them as you go, your teacher instructs. Oh, fuck yeah, information about your past. You keep shuffling the cards until you feel the need to stop, and then lay them out face down one by one. After a deep breath, you turn the first card over, the card that represents your past. The deck you have is simple, blue cards with gold lines, no colors or shading at all. The first card is Judgment. It's upside down. Turning your head to look, you can see a somewhat skeletal winged figure with a trumpet and the hands of the dead reaching up through the ground to the sky. Cheery. You check your sheet for information until you find Judgment, and it's reversed to meaning since your card is upside down. Judgment reversed. Self-doubt, lack of self-awareness, failure to learn lessons, and self-loathing. Gee, you thought this was your past, not your present. Although, a lack of self-awareness certainly describes your past. You know, the one you don't remember at all. That's pretty accurate then. Alright, you're present. You flip the middle card, and you see a figure on the top of a cliff with a lantern. The Hermit. This one is at least right way up, so there's no neck twisting required to look at it. Hermit. Self-reflection, introspection, contemplation, withdrawal, solitude, search for self. You are literally doing this class to find out who you are, to understand your past and what it means for you. It's a somewhat on-the-nose reading of your situation, but it seems accurate. Your eyes run over the cliff top again. Something about it that sits oddly with you. This seems accurate so far, you say. I haven't checked mine yet, Rose mumbles. Her cards are dealt, but still face down on the table. You understand her trepidation, given how important seeing is for her, and how terribly the tea and Ouija things have gone for her. Do your last one, the future. Rose. Do your last one, the future, Rose urges you. You suppose she wants to see your result, to put off having to look at her own. You flip the last card. Death. Oh, you whisper. No, death can be a good card. Even I know that much about this. Look it up, Rose urges you. Obligingly, you look down at the sheet you have. Death. Transformation, endings, change, transition, letting go, release. That all sounds nice, but you're certain it doesn't mean that. You know somehow that this refers to literal death. Maybe you'll see Arati again. You try and put it out of your mind. After taking a quick picture, you turn your focus on Rose. Go on, turn them, you tell her. Rose breathes in deeply, steeling herself. She tucks a lock of hair behind her ear and reaches for the first card. Hers are brightly colored on the back, unlike your rather more minimalistic set. Only when she flips hers, it's entirely blank white on the other side. What? You say in shock. Rose turns the next card. It's blank. The last one is also entirely void of any design at all. If you've got a weird set, look at your cards, you tell her. Rose turns her deck face up in her hands and fans out the Art Deco style set of cards. You can even catch her death card as she flips through them. Rose shakes her head and flips the cards back down and shuffles the remaining ones again. You move the blank cards aside, and Rose sets down 3 more cards face down in the space you cleared. One by one, she turns them over. The first, second, and third are all blank. There wasn't a single blank card in that deck, just like the tea leaves in her mug until she tried to read it. Rose stands up from her chair so fast that it crashes over behind her. She grabs her bag from the ground and rushes to the door. "Rose," you call out for her, leaping to your feet as well. "What's going on?" your teacher asks worriedly. It's complicated. I'm sorry, I have to go," you say in a rush, grabbing your own things. "Take your cards and sheet for practice," your teacher tells you. You nod and sweep it all into your bag and bolt for the door that Rose left open. "Rose, Rose, wait," you call after her, sprinting down the stairs. You can hear her feet on the stairs a bit ahead of you. Fuck it. You start taking the stairs down 2 at a time in hopes of catching her, but you're out of the main square before you can even get close. Rose, ah! You scream loudly as you topple forward, your ankles protesting. Your feet are stuck to the floor, the soles of them frozen in place. You think that Rose had done it to you to stop her from following you, if she wasn't looking over at you in surprise. You stand up awkwardly and try to pull your feet, but nothing's working. "Rose, Rose, I'm stuck," you gasp, physically yanking on your leg and getting nowhere. What is that? What are you doing?" Rose asks and points to the floor. A circle is forming around you on the stone, bright purple light shining as it encircles you. It etches out letters that you don't know. This is a spell of some kind. "It's not me, that's not my magic," you whisper in horror. "Can you reach out of the circle? Grab my hand," Rose urges you and holds her hand out. Shaking, you reach for her, but it's tough breaching the edge of the circle. It feels like trying to push your arm through a treacle. Rose's hand latches onto your forearm, and she digs her feet into the ground and starts pulling to try to get you out. "What language is that? What's it doing?" you ask in terror. "I don't recognize it, just ugh." Rose grits her teeth and pulls on your arm harder. Below you, the writing seems to stop, the circle complete. The words are shaking and glitching slightly, something that doesn't fill you with a lot of confidence at all. All at once, everything is just movement. Air rushes past you, and you feel the gouge of Rose's fingernails against your arm. You scream and flail with your heart in your throat as the world rushes past you. Everything glitches, the spell shorting out, and you're suddenly falling. You don't fall far, thank God, but when you land, everything hurts. You force yourself upright as a shock of bitter cold suddenly floods you. You gasp in an air so frigid that it's thin and it hurts. The sun is bright on the horizon, not absent in the nighttime you just left. And Amber Alert. Okay, sorry about that. And what a horizon it is. You stagger to your feet and stare. You're on top of a mountain, the highest point as far as you can see, knee-deep in snow. The sky is impossibly and deeply blue around you. White, snowy mountain peaks in the distance around you gleam with eye-searing brightness. Looking around your more immediate area, you can see scattered fabric in the snow, flags of countries abandoned here. In the very far distance, you swear you can see the curvature of the earth. "Oh, God. Oh, fuck," you hiss, hugging yourself tightly. "That card, the hermit. It had a man on a cliff top, and that cliff top caught your eye for some reason. Yeah, well, looking around you, you might think you know why. You're trying not to think of how the next card you drew was death, a death that seemed far more literal than metaphorical to you. You're on the top of a mountain that might very well be Everest, and you're absolutely not dressed for the weather at all. You don't even have anything in your bag that would help you here. Hopefully, you scramble for your phone, but as expected, there's no signal here. Fuck. Alright, you're freezing. You're going to freeze to death. You are going to see Arati again because you are going to die. Can you get down from this mountain without falling to your death? Maybe you can get lower, but you can't climb all the way down before you die of hypothermia. At least, if you stay at the top, someone will find your body. Who the hell is trying to kill you by doing this?" Fuck, you yell, tears spilling down your cheeks, freezing before they can even fall off your face. If you do nothing, you're sure that you'll die, so you need to think of something, anything to try. What's the worst that happens here? You die? Well, you're already going to die, so you might as well try something. God damn it, if only we had Solix here, and then he could teleport you home. But he isn't here, and you can't call him because your phone has no signal. You doubt Rose knows where you ended up anyway. Also, you don't have his number, so you'd have to go through someone else if you could call out, which you can't. You push your sleeve up and squint at your arm. The deal you made glows softly as you look at it. You have 3 questions left. If you ask, he has to answer them, right? But what if he isn't here to hear them? He's avoided you to stop you from asking, stop you from asking before, but that doesn't mean that you can't ask and compel him to answer, even if he isn't here. That wasn't specified, was it? If you do your level best to get him to hear and he doesn't answer, then he's violating the deal. If nothing else, that should get his attention, right? Or it doesn't, and you die up here regardless, but at least you tried something. You press your aching fingers to your frigid arm, right over the demonic script. You try to think of activating the magic like you have with spells you've done before. You open your mouth, and for once in your life, you let the full extent of your voice boom forth. Solux Captor, this is a deal question, you yell in full force. Your voice bounces off the mountain face and cliff tops like the wrath of a god. Tell me how to get off this fucking mountain, you scream and hear your own voice echo back. No one answers, of course, because no one is there. You may well have scared the living shit out of some mountaineers somewhere else in this area, but that's their problem, not yours. You dig your fingers into your skin, visualizing pulling on the very deal itself. Answer me, you demand. Something courses through your blood, hissing where it makes contact with the demonic script, and you feel something give. There's a flash of blue and red and a startled scream as something lands in the snow next to you. Relief and exhaustion has you crumpling to your knees as Solux bolts upright in the snow, clearly shocked by being brought here. Why would you wear a Carcat? Solux blurts out. There's blood all over his face. Not his, not gold like his blood, but red like yours. His eyes are wide and terrified as he looks around. What have you done? I can't be here. I have to go, Solux says, leaping to his feet. Take me with you. I'll die here, you beg. What? Solux says and looks around. Had he not noticed where you were? Had he not clocked the very certain death by hypothermia that awaits you mere minutes from now? I don't have time for this. Slick, get over here. You owe me, Solux shouts into the air. His voice doesn't echo quite like yours. His shirt is ripped and torn. That, too, is stained in blood. You think you're getting a little delirious from the cold. Solux hauls you to your feet with his hands on your shirt. He looks over your shoulder, and then, without so much as a moment of hesitation, he shoves you off the mountain. You scream as you fall, just catching the flash of bicolored light as Solux leaves. A doorway blurs past you, and you just make out Spade Slick's startled face as you plummet past him. You fall down and down, crashing through windows and doors until physics informs you that down is not down anymore, but back. Your world reorients itself, and you fall in a different angle and hit rough steel. You think you just fell in a 90-degree turn. You groan and lay still for a moment or two as you get your bearings. First of all, you're not freezing to death anymore, but everything aches. Secondly, when you see Solux next, you're going to slap his face off. He'll be laughing out the other side of his face when you're done with him. Third of all, you realize that you're moving. Sitting up, you find that you're on a corrugated metal floor. Or perhaps that's not the word for it. It's the textured stuff that they have in warehouse floors so people don't slip. There's a black railing to your left and a wall to your right. Past the railing, you can see open air. You appear to be traveling through a gray city, and judging by the train tracks rushing away from you, you happen to be on a train. You must have fallen, landed on the open bit of the back of the train, that kind that you've only seen in movies. Fuck me, you groan and haul yourself to your feet. Where are you? On a train, yes. Beyond the train, the city looks odd. The buildings are entirely grayscale, dark, moody colors and deep black shadows that look more at home in a comic book than they do in your very eyes. Real life isn't cel-shaded like that. The sky above you is endlessly dark, with no stars, moon, or sun to be seen. Stylized streetlights whip past you, and old-fashioned cars line up in traffic on the roads to the side. You're somewhere very far from home. Turning around you, you see a door to the inner part of the train, and with nowhere else to go, you carefully open it and step inside. The train carriage is also weirdly grayscale, along with the people in it. Everything is like a black and white movie, and you're the only thing there with any color. The train itself is discordantly old-timey, without having a specific date that you can put a finger on. Yet, despite all of this, the people in the train carriage are dressed in a modern style. Were it not for their blank white eyes and grayscale coloring, you wouldn't look twice if you'd walk past them on the street. You don't want to draw attention to yourself, so you casually walk down the train as if you belong or indeed know what you're doing. Looking up at the train map, you see it reads Midnight City Express and lists off stops that mean nothing to you at all. Looking around, you see a man holding onto a railing with a bored expression of commuters everywhere. Sorry, but do you know what the next stop is? You ask him quietly. The man turns his head to look at you, his unsettlingly blank white eyes taking you in. New in town? He asks you flatly. Yeah, I have no idea, you start, but the man holds his hand up to stop you. Not my problem. Next stop is Scooty Dog Square. Just there, see? The man says, raising his arm to point at the map above you. You should look, but you can't. As he moves, his suit jacket shifts, and you can see a gaping bullet hole in his chest that had previously hidden by the lapel of his shirt. Okay, thank you, sir. I'm gonna go over there now, you say in a high-pitched voice and back off. Your third card was death. That man is dead, and as you look around the other passengers, you see a disproportionate number of old people. A few people who have visible injuries flash onto their bodies as you look at them. They're all dead. You're wherever dead people go. Hurrying down into the next carriage, you see there's more dead people here too. These ones just don't seem to be paying you much attention. Figuring that blending in is your best option, you adopt a bored commuter stance by the doors, holding onto the handrail as you silently freak out. You're not actually dead, are you? Solix pushed you off the mountain, but you definitely went through a doorway on your way here, as well as several windows. You're pretty sure you're alive. Checking your pulse in public seems dumb, but you work out that if you grip the handrail hard enough, you can feel your pulse in your fingertips. You're not dead. Alright, not dead, but definitely in the afterlife. What now? Your first mission should be getting somewhere secluded so you can freak out and plan what you have to do in private. There's nothing to say that you can't die here, and being the only living person walking around is probably a bad idea. What if someone tried to steal your life or something? Best be surreptitious here. The train comes to a stop, and you and a few other people get off. To your relief, there aren't any ticket barriers, and you're able to leave the station unchallenged and exit into the city itself. This city, Midnight City, if the train name is any indication, is all weirdly black and white as everything else you've seen. Everything has a very noir vibe to it, yet despite that, you can see businesses set up with people in them, pedestrians milling about, normal stuff. You find a park with gray grass and hurry over to a black tree with midnight-colored leaves. There's no breeze here. The air is impossibly still and, well, dead. More importantly, you're alone. There's a few people in the distance, but not really anywhere near you. Okay, you need to think. What do you know? First, and most importantly, you're not dead, but everyone else here seems to be. Secondly, Solix pushed you off the mountain into this space and called Spadeslick to open a door here. Spadeslick is a psychopomp, and given that these people seem to be dead, you can only assume that this is where people go when they die. This isn't like any afterlife you've heard about, not for any religion. This is neither heaven nor hell. It's not the halls of Valhalla, it isn't paradise, and you didn't cross the river Styx to get here. So where are you? Better question, how do you not be here? Or how do you be not here? Or if you want to not mangle grammar in your panic, how do you get home? You pull your phone out and are unsurprised to find that there's no signal here. Maybe you can try calling Solix again like you did before. You don't want to yell this time. When you press your fingers to your arm and call for him, you do it at a normal speaking volume. An off-key tone fills your head, reverberating around your skull and making your teeth ring. It takes a moment, but you realize it's like a noise a phone makes when you try to dial an impossible number. The magical equivalent of, please hang up and try again. There's no signal here, and you guess that goes for demonic connections too. That further strengthens the idea that wherever you are isn't hell. Okay, you can't call for help, you can't get Solix here. What do you do now? You could try to find someone in charge, try to find Spadeslick even, ask to go back to the real world since you're not dead and shouldn't be here yet. There's a chance they'll fix that problem by making you dead, but you've literally no other way out of here. Of course, if you see any other opportunity to get out, then you'll take it, but for now, asking for help is probably your best bet. Alright, okay, yeah, you just need to go talk to people. Dead people. Be cool about this. You can be cool. You stroll out the park like a normal person who is in no way super tense about this whole thing. You pass people on the street who are casually going about their afterlives like it's no big deal. You pass a cafe and see the staff inside aren't human at all. They look like Spadeslick, their skin an insectoid black chitin type substance. They're bringing drinks to patrons waiting at tables who are eating and drinking like they're alive. Do they need to eat when they're dead? Oh wow, a woman gasps near you. You turn to look at her. She's maybe in her 30s, with a hospital bracelet around one wrist. You don't know what killed her, but she looks kind of sick to you. Not that it seems to bother her now. More notably than that, though, is the fact that she has color on her like you. It's not her skin or her hair, but rather bright red glowing script that stretches around her neck and up over her eyes. "You're like me," she says, pointing at you. "What?" you blurt out. "Your face. It's like mine, with all the writing on it," she explains and gestures to her face. It takes a second, but you clock her accent. "You're from Georgia," you say dumbly. "Yeah?" she says, seemingly unconcerned by this. "Wait, what about my face?" you ask, her words finally sinking in. "It's like mine. Look," she says and gestures to the window behind her. You lean closer and see your face faintly reflected in the glass. There's glowing writing across your face. "What the fuck? That wasn't there earlier. What is this?" you whisper in horror. "I don't know. There's a few people with that kind of stuff around. Most of them don't remember who they used to be, but not all of them. Everyone has a little writing on them. The more you have, the more you seem to not know who you were before 5 years ago. It's not often I see someone as bad as you," she goes on. You need to get a mirror." "I have to go," you say hurriedly and walk off. Now that you know what you're looking for, it doesn't take long to find a clothing store. You grab a few gray items of clothing and duck into a changing room. You've no intention of buying anything. You just need the mirror. You are covered in writing. You don't recognize the script at all, and you sure as shit can't read it, but this is absolutely magic. It's a long ribbon of glowing text that seems to wrap around you. Arbitrarily you start from your left temple and follow it. The path it traces goes across your eyes, actually over your eyeballs, it seems, as it happens. The thought of that makes you feel a little sick, if you're honest. And then it travels to your other temple, down the side of your face, around your neck, and then plunges down past the neckline of your sweater. It takes a moment for you to free yourself from your jacket and sweater, but when you stand shirtless in the front of the mirror, you see more writing. The ribbon of red text that went from your neck goes down over your shoulder and across your shoulder blades, around your chest, back over itself, and then joins up with the other end at the loop at your temple once more. Over your heart, unconnected to anything else, is a symbol. If you turn your head, it's a glowing 69 in numerals. Not Roman ones, just 69. That too is in red, but it feels like a different shade to the other text on you. "What the fuck?" you whisper. You take out your phone and take a picture. Turn and take another on each side and one on your back. Actually, you're not sure you trust your phone to retain the data, so you remove your notebook and a pencil from your bag of holding, and starting at your temple, you directly copy down the symbols. Of course, with the mirror involved, they'll all be backwards, but you can reverse them later. You want to know what the fuck it says on you. It takes a while and a good deal of awkward twisting about, but you get it. You have no idea what any of this means, and you suppose that it won't matter if you don't get out of here, but apparently you're a secret optimist if you're planning on using this information later. Later implies that you're going to get out of this. Still, this has to be the thing that's screwing with your memory if what the woman says is true. Now that you know it's there and have what it said written down, you might be able to undo it, and then you could get your memory back. If you make it out of here. You put your notebook away and think. What do you do now? You guess you predicted this, but you can't predict your way out of this one, can you? Can you? With your hand in your bag, you silently call for the deck of tarot cards and the sheet that explains them all. The only one you were in class to learn was the 3-card spread. That worked for past, present, future reading, but you know how you got here and where you are. You want more details on getting out. Surely if you ask specifically for how you get out of here, you can get information that'll help, right? You shuffle the cards and try to clear your mind. How do you get out of this plane of reality and go back home? You deal the cards face down onto the floor. 1, 2, 3. First card, death. Well, you already know the meaning of that one, and you suspect it literally refers to this place. You guess that's just the context. Second card, 2 of Swords. Huh, that's not one of the main cards, is it? It's one of the ones that'd be a regular number card in a deck of cards, right? You scan through the list. 2 of Swords, stalemate, difficult choices, stuck in the middle, denial, hidden information. What's that supposed to mean? Your eyes wander over the blue card with gold accents. It has a seated figure with 2 swords. She's blindfolded. Does this mean you're going to be caught in a stalemate? Perhaps with death herself? You hope not. That's not a fight you'd bet yourself to win. You turn the final card, the Hanged Man. God, are these always so cheery? On the card, a man is hung upside down by one ankle, the other leg crossed freely behind him. A halo of light surrounds his head, and you can't tell if he's dead or simply has his eyes calmly shut. You consult your sheet of information. The Hanged Man. Sacrifice, waiting, uncertainty, lack of direction, perspective, contemplation. Lack of direction, waiting, and uncertainty certainly describe your situation now, but that wasn't the question you asked. You asked how you get out. That question, of course, presupposes that you will get out. Excuse me. Hold on. Wow. My goodness. But you're going to ignore that possible linguistic fuck-up for now. Look at the big picture. What does this mean? Death, either a metaphorical change or an actual one. Two of Swords, a stalemate or a choice. So you have to make a decision to get out, perhaps. Lastly, the Hanged Man. Sacrifice. This doesn't sound like a good future for you. After a moment's hesitation, you scoop your things back up and leave the changing room. When you get back to the street on the outside, you reassess the situation. No one yet has realized that you're not dead. The woman you talked to outside the cafe commented only on the spell that's over your body, not on how alive you are. That gives you a better chance of people not realizing what you are at first glance, but it'd probably still be sensible to avoid people if you can. If Spade Slick is a psychopomp who takes people here, then locating him is your best bet for getting out. But how do you find him? You need information. You're not going to find information outside a clothing store, so you start walking. The place is filled with businesses, but by and large, they seem to be run by little black-shelled people that you saw before. There's a few places that look like humans are working, but it's places where you can assume it was someone's passion in life. There's a hairdresser in business over there, and a while back you passed a tattoo parlor with a human running it. Everyone seems to be doing a lot of nothing. People are loitering, talking, killing time. There's games of cards and other things going on. A group of kids are kicking a ball around down one alleyway, and when you realize that everyone but you here is dead, it just makes your heart ache to see them. After a while of wandering, the seemingly endless city you pass, after a while of wandering the seemingly endless city, you pass a box with a newspaper in it. Thankfully, it doesn't require any money, which is good because you don't know what the currency this place uses. Or maybe they don't have any money at all. What is it they say? You can't take it with you? You retrieve your newspaper and sit on the curb to read it. The Midnight City Times is a very strange newspaper. Weirdly, it seems to be reporting on events that, to your mind, happened about a week ago, and are not super accurate. The reports all cite recent newcomers to the city, recalling things that they were around to see, or that they'd heard before they died. It's how this place gets news of the outside world. That kind of makes sense in a way. Beyond that, the paper is filled with adverts and notices. People advertising groups for playing sports, games, acting classes, all sorts of things to pass the time. There's people looking for each other within the paper, listing their name, where they're from, and an already dead person they're trying to reunite with. It's a morbid missed connections page. Slipped inside the newspaper is a small A5 printed sheet, someone's addition to the paper. Actual journalism. It has been 2,115 days since anyone has been allowed to move on from Midnight City. PM has not directed anyone anywhere, and our numbers are piling up. When this reporter questioned post-mortem as to why this was, she commented, "How the fuck did you get in here? Get out!" and attack this fine reporter with a broom. Clearly, this is a cover-up for a higher order. Further investigation must continue. You squinted the page. No one in their right mind uses that much punctuation. Still, Spade Slick said he wasn't working, or he doesn't work anymore. What if his job isn't taking people to here, but taking them from here to wherever they go afterwards, making Midnight City some kind of limbo? A little mental math tells you that the number of days is a little over 5 years. You suppose it's closer to 6 as the anniversary of the event is coming up before too long. Over 5 years of people dying, and seemingly having nowhere to go. The reason you're not all up to your eyes in ghosts is because they're all here. Maybe this PM person could point you out of here. She seems to be at least in charge enough to warrant an interview from this supposed reporter. You're not sure how reliable a reporter is if they have to print out their own stories and manually slip them into papers, but you have nothing else here to go on, so you can't be too picky. You put the newspaper in your bag along with the insert and get up again. You're going to need to ask for directions. There's 2 old dudes sat at a table playing cards on the outside the outside tables of a bar across the way. They look pleasant enough, so you still yourself and head over. "Excuse me," you say as you come up to them. Both men look at you, one instinctively holding his cards a little closer as he suspects this is a ruse on behalf of the other man to cheat and see his cards. "What is it, son?" Asks the man on your right, who isn't so neurotic about his cards. I'm a little lost. I just got here. Could you give me directions to a PM postmortem? You ask uneasily. You're not familiar with the term you're using, and this is just a stab in the dark, but it's all you have. The two men exchange a surprised look and then back at you. You've not been there and got a number yet? How'd you manage that? The more paranoid man asks. Like I said, I just got here and I got a little turned around. Obviously, I need to get a number, of course. You lie through your teeth as you give what you hope is a trustworthy smile, and not a facial rictus befitting of a lunatic. You need to get the train or cab to the main street, and the departure office is pretty clearly signed there, the first man explains. Train station's that away, the other one adds, pointing back the way you came. You've attracted a little attention from the other patrons outside the bar, and you're not too keen on that, so your plan is to thank the two men, say goodbye, and leave. It's such a good plan. Oh well. Hey, wait a minute. If you're dead, then my name is Shirley Buster, a man says, leaping to his feet. He looks like the Black Beetle dudes, except Snow White. He's wearing a fedora and a white trench coat. Hello, Shirley Buster, nice to meet you, one of the men says with a shit-eating grin, and the other collapses into a fit of laughter. What? No, shut up, he's alive, the pale man snaps and points at you. Isn't he just new? The second man says with a frown. No, he's definitely alive. How'd you get here? You shouldn't be here, the man in the fedora insists. Well, you see, I can explain myself if you don't even get to the end of your explanation. You sprint off as fast as you can mid-sentence. Your destination is the train station. If you can get back there, then maybe you can find a way out. Stop right there, boys, we've got a runner! A live one, the man shouts, chasing after you. You glance over your shoulder to see that he's shouting into a walkie-talkie as he runs. Fucking great. No, an actual live one. A living person. Call it in, the man shouts, arguing with someone down the line. Shit, this isn't good. This isn't good at all. You haul ass down the grayscale streets of Midnight City, with the fedora-wearing man hot on your heels. Unfortunately, cardio is never really your thing, and you don't get all that far before he tackles you to the floor. You skid painfully over the cobbled streets and yelp as he wrenches your hands behind your back. Cold steel closes over your wrists. Thought you could pull a fast one over old Problem Sleuth, eh? The man laughs in your ear. No, on account of I've no idea who the fuck you are, you hiss at him. Well, I just told you. My name's Problem Sleuth, and I'm the best detective there is in this town. He brags and gets up, pulling you with him. And I thought your name was Shirley, you mutter. You side-eye the angry man and consider the pros and cons of elbowing him in the face and trying to run for it again. You're handcuffed now, though, so that'll slow you down and make you look wildly suspicious, but you doubt you want to go wherever he wants to take you. My name isn't Shirley, Problem Sleuth insists loudly. You look him up and down. You don't think it's just the black and white nature of the city. This guy genuinely looks like he's trying to go for one of those old-timey detective movies. What kind of detective are you, anyway? You look like you're trying to be some guy of an Ace Dick-style idiot. Or some kind of Ace Dick-style idiot, you sneer. What? No, that's a different guy, Problem Sleuth says, clearly confused. What? You say, just as confused as he is. Ace Dick. He's a different detective. I'm Problem Sleuth. He's Ace Dick, the guy explains. This is the single dumbest conversation I've ever had in my life, you groan. How has this happened to you? If you ever get out alive, you're going to strangle Solux for this. Yeah, a life you shouldn't be leading. Why are you here when you're not dead, You thought you could just sneak in here or something, huh? Is that what you thought? Problem Sleuth accuses you and shakes you a little by the arm to make his point. No, I didn't even mean to be here, or want to be here. I just want to go home, you insist. That's what you want me to think, the moron detective sneers. Look, is there someone more senior I can talk to about getting out of here? Someone with a brain, perhaps? You ask hopefully. Damn right there is. PI's calling this one in all the way from the top, Problem Sleuth said smugly. Private investigator, you ask? You shouldn't have asked. Pickle inspector, sorry. I mean, he is a private investigator, but so am I. So is Ace Dick, Problem Sleuth explains. Fucking kill me now, you groan. I can arrange that. Problem Sleuth whirls around and drags you with him so you're face to face with Aradia. She's much clearer when you're in the same reality as her. Her skin is gray, her eyes are yellow and red, and there's yellowy horns coming from her head. Aside from you, she's the only thing here with any color on her. Boss, I caught, Problem Sleuth starts, but a look from Aradia silences him. Why are you here, Carcat? Aradia asks you, her voice dangerously quiet. She knows your name, but then she is death, so why wouldn't she? Damn it, the death card you drew was very literal. I didn't want to be here. I don't even really understand where here is. I just want to go back to Salem, you tell her, narrowly avoiding saying that you want to go back to where you came from. You've no desire to be dumped on the top of Mount Everest again. How did you get here? You shouldn't be able to get here at all, Aradia says stiffly. You open your mouth and hesitate. Solix is her ex, and you doubt mentioning him is going to go well for you here, so you can just avoid him, maybe. I was leaving class when something summoned me. I think the spell failed because I ended up on Everest, and then I fell off, and I fell through a doorway, and I think a few windows, and landed on a train here, you tell her, omitting Slick and Solix both. Roddy doesn't seem impressed by your explanation and snaps her fingers. There's a flare of darkness, and Spade Slick stumbles out. His eyes land on you, and his expression flicks into relief, at least until he sees Aradia. It's the quickest facial turnaround from, oh yes, to, oh no, that you've ever seen. Ah, boss, what can I do you for? Slick asks, his smile frozen in place. How did he get here? Aradia asks, pointing a finger in your direction. Who, problem sleuth? Probably about a disappointing sex between his parents. No doubt a family tradition passed on to him. Spade Slick answers coolly. I can hear you, Slick. Problem sleuth snarls over your shoulder. Hey, we'll make a detective of you yet. Spade Slick grins meanly. Enough black flirting. How did Carcat get here? Arati interrupts. For a second you see the white of her skull through her skin. Why don't we ask the detective, since he knows so much and all? Spade Slick says evasively. Wind howls through the streets of Midnight City, sweeping around the corner and rushing over you. The breeze, the first you felt in this city, curls around you in a tight little funnel of air that ruffles your hair. What? No, how can... Arati says in disbelief. The wind picks up and pushes Problem Sleuth away from you, making the man stumble to the floor. The very second he's apart from you, bright pink light flares up through the back cobblestone and encircles you. Gold glints between the stones, flooding up, and suddenly, in a rush of shimmering gold, Solix appears between you and the others. What the hell are you doing here? You're not allowed here either, and I don't want to see you after the shit you pulled, Aradia barks angrily at Solix. Sorry, I'm not sticking around, though, Solix says. He glances back at you and seems to look you over. This is some very powerful magic, and it's going to require a little sacrifice to power it enough to get you out. So don't freak out, I'm immortal, remember? Solix says under his breath. The fact that you need to remind me of that doesn't— Oh, fuck, you yelp when Solix suddenly produces two blades from nowhere. One a pure white and the other bright scarlet. Two swords, the two of swords. Solix, no, you plead before you can get any closer. He's jammed both blades through his chest. You can't stay here just because you're dead for a few seconds, Aradia says stiffly. Solix gurgles and crumples to your feet. Your hands are bound, so there's nothing you can really do, but you crouch down with him anyway. Solix, please, come on, wake up, you beg him. Solix seems to melt into molten gold again, the swords vanishing with him, and he turns completely liquid. And as he turns liquid completely, the pink light of the circle around you goes eye-searingly bright. Your whole world tips sideways, and you topple onto your side. You groan. It feels like someone smacked you inside the head with a 2x4, maybe with a few nails in it. Carcat! Wait, where's Solix? Right here, or right there. You open your eyes to see a woman crouched at the edge of the circle watching you. Her eyes are vibrantly pink, and her face bears more than a passing resemblance to Rose and Dave. This is who you wanted back? He ain't human, you know that, right? The woman asks. Yes, we know that. It's Carcat. Can we please get in there? Rose asks, crowding close to the woman. But Solix... It's fine, the older woman insists and licks her thumb. She rubs over a line on the floor and steps over it, closer to you. She reaches down to the floor just by you and scoops up something, a tiny red and blue patterned snake that's not even as long as her hand. It curls around her finger and flicks a forked tongue out. Baby's a little baby's a little danger noodle now, huh? So cute, she coos and pets his head. He can turn back though, right? Dave asks, stepping closer with a wary hop over the lines. When he's got his powers back, yeah, it's like power saving mode. Little snick. Now, you. The woman suddenly turns her attention and grabs you by the front of your shirt. Wait, please. This is probably their mother, right? The one who isn't entirely right and gets confused by a lot of things? Yeah, you don't want her to think you're something dangerous. Mom, no, let him go, Rose says, trying to pull her arm, but it has no effect. Oh, geez, this isn't going to be good, June says from somewhere behind you. Miss Lalonde pulls you close by your sweater, staring you down. You can't hide your secrets from me, she says darkly, and her eyes flood with black from edge to edge. You can't look away, and you get this deeply uncomfortable sensation of being seen. It's akin to the feeling you get when you're walking alone at night, and you're sure something is coming up behind you. Yet, when you look, nothing is there. Something dark and hidden skirting around your very being. I don't have any secrets, none that I know about, I swear, you tell her. He's cool, I swear, Dave adds in your defense. His mother's eyes return to normal and her expression softens and her grip on your shirt relaxes. You're a long way from home, aren't you? She whispers and cuffs your face with one hand. Her thumb runs under your eye, right on the line of the magic you saw in your skin. She smiles at you and stands up. Wait, are you kidding me? June exclaims. Looking around, you see a pissed-off-looking June with a slightly alarmed-looking Jade behind her. Get out of my house! Miss Lalonde snaps at them. I'm so sorry, Rose whispers and ushers the two of them out. Get out! Get out! Miss Lalonde keeps shouting. Rose is pulling her friends out of the room. This place looks like a basement or something. Dave leans down, one hand occupied with Solix in tiny snake form. He uses the other to help you to your feet. Are you okay, man? We were really worried and you'd been missing for days, Dave says quietly. Days? I wasn't gone for that long. Half an hour at most, you insist, but Dave shakes his head. Dave's mom seems to have calmed down a little now that the others are gone, and turns her attention back to you. Oh, let me get that for you, she says and snaps her fingers. Your handcuffs fall off by themselves and clatter to the ground. I have about 1,000,000 questions for you, including what happened to turn my best friend into the tiniest snake I've ever seen, but how about we start with why you were in handcuffs? That sounds like a sensible place to start asking questions, Dave says. Around his fingers, the Solix snake flicks out his tiny tongue. The beginning sounds like a better place to start. Why don't we find where Rose went, and I can tell you everything, and maybe you guys can answer some of my questions too, you suggest instead. Upstairs then. That's Dave's mom. Upstairs then, Dave's mom says, waving her hand to the set of stairs. She leads the two of you up into a hugely spacious house that's all clean and modern design. It has fancy art on the walls, a bronzed broom on a plinth, and giant windows. The whole place has an elegant, brutalist architecture vibe to it that screams money and style, even if it's a pretty weird style of decor. Despite that, the house itself is a bit of a mess. Books and clothes and crockery are all abandoned in odd places. Rose is standing in the main room, scowling and texting on her phone when you come up. Come on, Dave says, and gestures with his tiny snake hand off to the side. You all head into the main sitting room with a large and elegant freestanding fireplace that his mom elegantly flicks fire into with her hand. There's no written-out magic there. She's clearly a very practiced and accomplished witch. You already knew that, of course, but seeing it is a wholly different thing. You should keep Solix warm. Put him in the fire, she says. But he's so tiny, I don't want to throw him in, Dave says uneasily. You look from the fire to the small snake in Dave's hand, and you know what you have to do. Here, give him to me. I don't burn, remember? You say and hold out your hand. Dave looks at you for a moment, but holds out his hand. You offer your fingers, and after a few seconds of hesitation and a flickering tongue, Solix does slither from his hand to yours. His thin body loops around your fingers, feeling ever so fragile. Carefully, you lean towards the fireplace and reach your hand towards the flames. For a second or two, you're nervous, but just like before, the fire parts harmlessly for you, and you're able to hold your hand out so Solix can slither onto the hot coals. It curls up there into a little coil, and seems perfectly happy when you pull your hand back and the fire returns. Even in this form, it doesn't hurt him. We left class, and you vanished when that spell completed. What happened from there? Rose asks. I think the spell summoned me broke, or failed partway through. I got dumped on top of what I'm pretty sure was Mount Everest, you tell them. Highest point on Earth. Maybe you didn't have permission to leave this place, or you can't, or someone fucked the spell up, their mom suggests casually. She's leaning forward, looking at the fireplace. I couldn't call for help. I couldn't get down. I thought I was going to die, so I did the only thing I could think of. I asked Solix a deal question, you say. But there's no way he could have heard you from there. Surely that wouldn't work, right? Dave reasons. His mother looks over at you again, her eyes sharp. You made a deal with the demon. Show me, she demands. Obligingly, you hold out your arm, and Miss Long comes over and looks at it. Her eyes flick over the words as she moves your arm to see all of it. By the time she's at the end, she's laughing. Oh, he must be really pissy about that one. Either that or he likes you a lot, she giggles. Definitely the first one, you mutter. No time limit, no distance, no stipulation that he has to perceive the question, answer it. Oh, baby, you done fucked up, she laughs, looking into the flames. Maybe you imagine the quiet hiss you hear, maybe it's just the coals, but you don't think it is. That's another person that thinks you somehow got one over on Solix with his deal. So he doesn't hear you when you pull a Karen, all, I want to see your manager, this coupon says answers, and what, dragged him through space to get to you? She says with a laugh. Basically, yeah, he was covered in red blood, and when I asked how to get off the mountain and tell him to help me because because I'd die if he didn't, he called for Spade Slick and then pushed me off the top of the mountain. You're as close to yelling as you can within normal human range. That did technically answer your question, I suppose. This is how you get off the mountain. I push you. It's an answer, Rose points out. So Slick opens a door to where? What happens? Mom said you were in the afterlife, Dave tells you. Better than the afterlife, or better than the alternative, of course, Rose says with a nod. Mom said you were alive in the afterlife, not just in the afterlife. Mom says you were alive in the afterlife, Dave tells you. Better than the alternative, of course, Rose says with a nod. Well, I fell through the door because it was like at a 90-degree angle to me, and I fell down through it, and I think I went through several windows as well, and then I landed on this train, and it was full of dead people. It wasn't an afterlife, not a proper one. I think it was more like a holding place. People were just there waiting, but it was this huge and impossibly black and white city, like something from an old noir movie. You tell them. I was trying to figure out how to get out when I was asking directions to try and escape. This detective caught me. I ran, but he chased me and finally handcuffed me. Then Aradia showed up and summoned Spade Slick, and it became a whole thing until Solix appeared out of nowhere and stabbed himself, and then I showed up here. You finish. Had to die to get you out of the dead, and they can't keep him, Miss Lalonde says mysteriously. What happened from your point of view? I vanish, then what? You ask her. Well, Rose begins. And that's the end of the chapter! Jazz hands! Fun chapter! Also not crazy long. This had a lot. This had so much in it. My god. What a dense little guy. Also, fun fact, and we'll show this now. Next chapter, Rose POV, a little Rose POV. Next chapter, we mix up the POVs a little bit. How exciting! How exciting! Clap, clap. We get to see from the other perspective, Rose POV. So that should be fun. Time for Rose POV. That'll be it. What's tomorrow? Tomorrow's Thursday, right? Or is tomorrow Friday? Sino, are we doing Fridays or you can't do Fridays? I don't remember. Or is tomorrow Thursday? What the fuck is tomorrow? Tonight's Thursday. Tomorrow's Friday. Sino, can you do Fridays? I don't remember. Or if we decided that we're just gonna do like Monday through Thursday. I don't remember what you said. We could do Friday at like 7? Okay, we can do early. Yeah, okay. I think it'll only take, because what this chapter was, I can actually see, I got this extension. This chapter was in 9k words. Let's see how long the next chapter is. Okay, this one's a little bit longer, but, I mean, we can knock it out in an hour. I've been able to do this in an hour. I don't think I can wait until next Monday. Okay. So we'll do tomorrow. We'll do tomorrow at 7. So be a little bit of a different time. We're going to do it again a little earlier. But we can do tomorrow's at 7 p.m. EST. We will do the next chapter. So very exciting stuff. I'm excited. We're starting to get into the thick of it. Dude, I fucking love this scene where Karkat is like dying on the top of Mount Everest, and his like emergency thought is to call, so like that's like, I can just picture it perfectly, him like grasping onto his deal, shouting for Solix at the top of his fucking, lungs with his booming voice, demanding that he come. Oh, it's like such a vivid scene in my mind. Oh my god. Solix captured. This is a deal question. Oh, I would totally draw this scene as like a little comic. Oh my god. His voice booming, voice bounces off the mountain face and cliff tops like the wrath of a god. Oh, Oh my god. And it actually, like, an answer. Oh, the answer me. The answer me. Oh, him getting more and more desperate. Oh my god. My little heart. Also, I would not be that smart. Can we admit? If I was teleported up to if I was in Karkat's position, I would have died up there. I would not be smart enough to be like, shit, soul. Like, let's use the deal question, you know? So fucking good. So good. My god. Ugh. But yeah. So anyways, this is a lovely chapter. We got to see Arati again. We got the tarot. It's so funny. I have tarot cards. Where are my tarot cards? Hold on. I bought tarot cards because of alternate universes. I was like, because I guess this isn't crazy spoilers, but tarot becomes it's a bit of a continuing theme. They use tarot quite a bit. And I loved it every time they used it, and so I bought a tarot deck because I was rereading Alternate Universe, and I like impulse bought it after a chapter. So fun stuff. I love my tarot deck. They're so pretty. I would show it, but I don't have a camera. Or I do, but I don't use webcam. So yeah. Me when I see the Knight of Cups. So true. Oh my goodness. All right. So that is all for tonight, guys. I hope you all had a very, very lovely night. I will update the summary as usual. I've been trying to do it like the night, like right after I finish the chapter, but I always don't. So I usually do it the next day. And then tomorrow, 7 p.m. EST. So be here a little earlier. 7 p.m. EST, we will do chapter 9 of Alternate Universe. So we're starting to pick up steam. We are getting close to 1/4 of the way through, which we're still not close. At what, chapter 11? Chapter 11 or 12 technically will be 1/4 of the way. So we're getting there. We're getting closer. Yeah, exciting stuff. All right, that is all for my stream. It was very lovely talking with you guys, hanging out. And I will see you all later. Have a lovely rest of your night. Bye-bye, guys. Bye-bye. I'm waving. Bye-bye. Good night.